Morning. Good morning, United Kingdom. We are live. Obviously, we didn't get the counter sorted out, but it's not a problem. We are live with Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, the mover, the shaker, the quaker, the faker, the raker, the moon raker, the moon walker of the square mile in the city of London with the alternative business and property community. Good morning to you, Lakhi Singh. What's the weather like there? Top of the morning to you.
To be honest, I haven't been able to chance to look yet, but it's meant to be quite cold today, around 4 to 5 degrees.
Excellent, excellent. So it's going up. That's the important thing. When it's down, there's only one way, and that's up. So that's good news. You're at 4, so you can only go to 5 or 6. You can't come down, unless obviously you're expecting snow. But generally, I think the weather is much better, much more warm than average Christmas and the New Year. And I think, a lot of that credit will go to the fact there's been less pollution, less air flight, less air traffic, less fireworks going off on the 4th of November, as usually happens every year. So, is it going to be a fireworks for the new year, for the coming in of 21, like you said? That's the important question.
And I don't think so. I think because of Tier 4, I think people are going to be mostly at home. You might have, because of the way things are set up, we're in a sort of lockdown zone at the moment, curfew.
Okay, it's like a curfew. That's really bad. Okay, and what have you with the kissy stick? Have you got anywhere further with the prototype on my kissy stick? Keeping a safe distance and giving people a kiss without the mistletoe now because we're out of Christmas time. You got anywhere with that? You got the kissy stick. I actually realized yesterday it's actually what they call the lipstick, isn't it? It's a lipstick, but it's a kissy stick because it's just 2 pair of lips that you can safely kiss someone at a distance. Have you tried?
Well, I think that could be quite a useful tool for one of our top 10 tips. That could be the number 1 tip for your strategy for actually picking up more business and starting a new property business.
Giving people a kissy at 6 foot distance.
That could be tip number 1, I think.
That's tip number 1. I think the first important to share the love, isn't it? Like he's saying, share the love and get the result. Okay, so today we are blessed to have Mary Cullen again. Mary White Cullen Contrary. She's coming on today as well. I think, if I'm not wrong, Mary is possibly from the South End somewhere. So, is that right, Lakhi? Can you remember? Mary's from the South somewhere?
She's from Brighton.
Brighton, that's right. She's a lady who's a bit of a celebrity in the femme world, and she's a bit of a speaker as well, and gives lots of people motivational talks, and sort of gives people information on how to use property and how to go about. I think she's a bit of a interior decorator. Remember that she does the corporate identity inside your assets. That's the one. Very colourful young lady, extra energy, and lovely to speak to people like that in a very difficult environment, to get people who've got the energy to talk to everyone like that. So I think we've got her on today as well. So yeah, the question of this week: never let the comments of anybody let you down. Always try your best. Have you been through that scenario ever, Lakhi Singh? Have you ever felt people running you down or talking you down, but you have a focus to achieving your goals, and you've not allowed those comments to let you down or throw you off your path?
Yeah, I think in business you get all sorts of people because you're dealing with lots of complex situations. You deal with lots of different people, so people say all sorts of things to you. So you have to sort of learn to be focused and not really take anything to heart. So I think you've got to keep it business and not be thinking of things that anything to do with on a personal level. So people can say anything really, and I think it's going to be off a water off a duck's back type situation. But it's not always easy. I think you've got to learn to become versatile and learn to sort of create filters with what people say.
Okay, so with that, we're going to start off the top 10 tips for having a successful 2021. We did have obviously a topic to do with converting a residential mortgage into a buy-to-let, but that's probably not as inspirational or motivational as the 10 tips that Lakhi Singh has chalked out or grafted out as being the tips for success in 21. Lakhi Singh, do we have our guest waiting in the background yet?
He is actually on now.
You've got the controls. Waiting in the background is Mary Cullen. Maria Caray, how are you doing? Mary, are you here?
We can't hear her. You need to put your volume on.
Hang on, I can't hear you.
Volume. You need to take it off. She's got herself on mute at the moment.
Mute yourself, Mary. You are on mute. You cannot hear. There you are. We can hear you now. Loud and clear.
Oh, there's
Morning, Mary.
There's some light. Happy Christmas, boys.
Yes. Happy
Merry
to
Christmas.
you too.
Yeah.
What did you do for marriage? What were you doing on Kiss Me Day?
Christmas.
Yeah. What did you do for Kiss Me?
We're not allowed to kiss anyone at the moment.
You're not allowed to. Did you didn't you use my kiss stick? Didn't you use my safe kiss stick that I recommended? Put your lips on the end of the stick and just
you go around kissing people, you might get arrested in the UK at the moment.
You get arrested for kissing people?
Oh, probably.
Why? No, with my safe kissy stick, the 6-foot kissy stick. Have you not used that yet?
No, I don't. I try and avoid people kissing me, if I'm honest.
No, with the kissy stick. The kissy stick is 6 foot long. The safe distance. You put your lips at the end of it, and you kiss people with the end of the stick at 6 foot. So you not do that?
No, I think that could really take off, though.
You could tell you what.
I think that could really work. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. A kissy stick.
I think you need to turn your volume down a tiny bit on your side, Mary, and then we'll be able to hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Excelente.
Is that better?
What? Mary, yes, that's excellent. Right, okay. So what did you do over the on the Christmas Day holiday? That's right. That was this weekend. Did you do anything fabulous? Or I hope you weren't a part of the flooded area, because I think that's not too far away from you, is it?
No, I wasn't in the flooded area. I was here. I was meant to be back in Ireland with my father, but I couldn't go, obviously. So I was just here in Brighton.
Okay, but is there a reason you couldn't go to Ireland? Was it restrictions, or was it?
Yeah, it's COVID, and my dad's quite high risk, so it's quite sad because he's not very well, and I would have gone home and taken care of him, and it would have cheered him up, and none of that happened. So I was here instead. Like everybody, we've had to make sacrifices this Christmas.
Okay, it's really sad. I think Lakhi managed to go and see his parents. It was a bit like a Jurassic Park, because he was outside their window looking in, a bit like one of those dinosaurs. But he did go, and apparently I think you wore the mask as well, Lucky. Is that right? You had the mask on, and you kept safe distances, and you were sort of tapping on the window so that mom and dad could see you. But you did go, didn't you, to see them?
That's right. I do manage to go and see them, but it's basically stay in the garden type situation because they're sort of high risk in some ways, highly vulnerable. Their age.
Really sad that is. I mean, it must be very frustrating as well, Mary, to not be able to see, you know, your dad as you would wish to have done.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is because he's not well, so I can go back and give a break to my sister and give her some time off. But she's had, and my brother, they've been looking after him all year. So yeah, it's difficult for so many people at the moment, but we have to love people from a distance right now. That's how we care and protect them, really, which is very strange. But we're in a strange time. We're in historically strange times, and we have to keep remembering that. And I'm very grateful. My dad is still here, and you know, as he says, he's a horse whisperer in a village in Ireland. He's a man of huge wisdom, and he's like, time will heal everything. And we're in this situation now where time will eventually heal everything. And we've just got to keep the faith, and we've got to keep positive, and we've got to get out and walk and keep healthy, and that's what's most important. We need to keep our distance right now, which gives us more time for our solitude, to think about who we are, what we are. We you know, now we've had to kind of deal with just being on our own at times. Most people haven't done that for a very long time, so it's been a time of reflection, I feel, Christmas, for everybody. And you know, we are lucky if we've got homes we can be in. You know, that's something we need to be grateful for. Yeah, this year for me has been all about gratitude, reflection, and keeping positive, especially for people around you as well. It's really important.
Okay, I mean, Mary, it does sound extremely brave as well, and I think the wonderful thing about you is you put the best on every situation, which is wonderful. And I think you've got two kids. One is the younger daughter has got possibly a she's dyslexic or something? Is that right?
She's dyslexic. Yeah.
Yes, right. And did she sort of understand the reason for the lockdown and being? Because I can imagine adults, they can adjust, but children are very black and white. They don't understand the greys that easily. So, did the children cope with being sort of like kept away from granddad and not seeing the family and all that? Were they all right with it?
To be honest, I think I can only speak from the UK. I think children in the UK have been incredible. They have adapted so quickly to going to school wearing a mask, to in my school they have to stand out in the rain and have their lunch. They're not allowed to have friends over. There's lots of stuff, but they've really adapted to that. They've got used to doing their homework online. They've got used to so many things, not just my children, but everybody's children. But what children have seriously benefited from this year, which is where we can see what's so important, is the time at home. The time at home with their parents or what have you. And I think that's what really made the difference. Because we've had more time with them. You know, we've had time.
I think so. I think you're right. I think you've got an excellent point there. Naturally, technology has changed the dimension of parenting as well. Because I mean, I seem to see everywhere I go children having a somewhat isolated relationship with their friends or people they are talking and chatting with on their devices, and they could be sitting right next to their mom or their dad or parents and not talking to them quite happily and just ticking away with whoever they're talking or chatting with on their devices. And I think you're right. It's probably there's always a yin and a yang to every situation. Certain things have a negativity in them, but they bring out a positive element into them, provided the people in that situation, in that environment, can see the positive, just like you just reiterated, that there's a positive in this. Lakhi Singh, what do you have to say about MC MC Fem? That's right. I've really got the new title, haven't you? MC Fem's comments, Lakhi Singh. What do you say?
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I think kids have done really well. I think it is a time for reflection. I think people have to learn to become a bit more detached from doing lots of things that they're accustomed to doing, and probably go back to just being with themselves. So it's an opportunity, but a lot of people that are used to the fast life, let's say, it's not possible to have a fast life if you're stuck at home. So you're going to probably find other ways to keep yourself occupied. I'm pretty sure actually a lot of people have literally thrown themselves onto the internet and just still literally probably spending hours and hours on TikTok or Facebook, or trying to sort of keep themselves busy by having lots of communication, because it's a sort of welcome distraction. So I agree. I think a lot of good can come out of what's going on in terms of people's personal lives. They're focusing on their health and their well-being. Yeah. So by the way, Mary, I can still hear a bit of background noise when you talk. Maybe it's on my side. Salim, can you hear Mary okay when you hear her?
I can hear her perfectly.
Turn the volume down a tiny bit more.
Yeah, I think, no, she's perfectly fine. I think there's no feedback on this side with Mary or you. I think both of your volumes are perfectly fine. There may be an echo on your side, like you to do with your own volume. Maybe you need to touch that down a bit.
Turn mine down.
Yeah. Okay. Mary, we're going to go through a list of 10 important tips for people to become successful in 21. And I know it's a bit difficult in certain matters because we do have the uncertainty of COVID and whether there's going to be a tier 4 extension. Is it going to stay until, March or April? We don't know. We just don't know when this lockdown is going to unlock, and whether it's going to be temporary for another lockdown, whether there's going to be a third wave, because there is a suggestion there will be a third wave of the virus, which is going to be the difficult one, the real one that's going to test everybody. So give us a tip. What do you think is a tip for success? What did you take from 20 and you know that's going to work for 21? Before we ask Lakhi, because Lakhi obviously is a serial entrepreneur, a gentleman who is moving and shaking in the square mile. His look on things are very, very high level, very strategic. Probably don't mean too much to the small and medium-sized businesses, because he is a bit of a high net worth mover and shaker. What do you say is one of your tips? What do you take from 20 and say, well, that works, and that's going to work for 21 as well, irrespective? Let's suppose 21 is going to be just as difficult as 20. That's one tip I know is going to work to make you successful for the next year. Give us one tip, your top tip, apart from the kissy stick, because that's my tip. The kissy stick belongs to me.
I would say it's to take the elements out of your business that are just not working I think it's a really important time to put a lot of thought into the next year, and I would absolutely be working on the worst case scenarios in your business.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's use that tip number one. Take out the things which are just not working and work on the worst case. We'll use that as 2 points, but let's discuss the first thing. Lakhi Singh, is that an excellent tip or is that an excellent tip? Take out the things that are not working. If you've got a remote control, got no batteries in it, you're trying to change the channel, probably right in 21 to change the battery, isn't it, Lakhi Singh?
Yeah, I mean, the topic is how to start off your portfolio in 21. I mean, if you've already got one or you're trying to grow it, then I think 100%, I think you really got to be looking at the flux that's happening in 21 and looking at the worst case scenario, which all comes down to the numbers. So if you can't make the numbers work, your business is not going to work. So you got to really not be optimistic or even realistic. You really got to be pessimistic and think, okay, if I did this, this, and that, and it didn't work, what are the implications? Because if you don't structure yourself correctly, let's say you get a property, you're going to buy it, you're going to refurbish it, you end up buying it, but you can't get the refurbished money, and it's a lot of money. Then you have to dip into your portfolio at expensive cost. Question is, what are your fallback plans, and are they realistic? Have you got a lot of those things lined up? And if you haven't, then it's a recipe for disaster.
Right. Okay. So we do agree that number one, looking at the things that don't work, really thinking hard about your business, and those things that don't work, removing them. And the second most important point being calculating everything based upon worst case scenario. But there's a problem there. A lot of that isn't based upon the economics, is it, Lakhi? It's based upon a health issue, a health warning. And I think this is the first time I've seen health issues. I mean, we've seen, mad cow disease and the bird flu and all these other things. But they've been just as damaging. This is the first time that the world has decided to put a stop on commerce per se. Commerce has been affected by health to the extent that there is no commerce. So what's the next tip then, Lakhi, for your portfolio in 21 for growing it?
I think everything comes down to planning. So I think you got to plan what you're doing. And so I think in order to plan, I think there's 2 points here. I think it's having a analysis of really what's happening out there. So there's 2 points. So one is probably having a comprehensive three-dimensional understanding of your individual, your personal strengths and weaknesses in terms of what you're strong at, what you're not strong at, and then understanding what the opportunities and threats are in the market, because and they're two different things. So your individual strengths will dictate really how you're going to operate and actually roll out your business. So if you're not strong in the numbers, but you're good at relationships, you've got to then counter that. Or if you're good at delivery and implementing, you're very hands-on. Or are you very strategic? You don't like to be doing things, but you need to get other people to do them. Which way around are you? So I think understanding that internally within yourself is really important. And the second bit is opportunities and threats. I think it's important that you understand what the opportunities in the markets are, which are external to you. So opportunities could be, if interest rates go up, a lot of people were going to have to sell their properties. So you're going to maybe be able to get cheaper properties to buy this year if interest rates go up. So you're going to have to, become more cash rich to be able to buy assets or get liquidity. So then the threats obviously are things that are quite evident at the moment.
Okay, so what's the next point we should take? This? Should we say a SWOT analysis? Is that what we say is another point? Okay, so we said calculating worst case. That's just like putting least numbers across the spreadsheet. So I think we both agree on that. Mary, NC, FEM, what do you understand by a SWOT analysis? Have you conducted one? Are you doing one for the 21? Or are you still just looking at worst case scenario? Because that will cover both things.
I mean, obviously in what's happening at the moment, there'll be massive opportunities, and us as propertypreneurs, or whatever you want to call us, or Lakhi, an entrepreneur, we're always looking for opportunities. So I've actually been investing more in the markets, in trading, than in property. So
excellent. Okay, a bit of a trader.
You have to kind of pivot into other businesses at these times, I feel sometimes. If you may be looking into an online business that you didn't think of before. So yeah, I think it's really it's tying down what you've got and making it work as well as it can, getting rid of any dead weight, and obviously creating and growing new opportunities, because the world has changed. So you've got to change. You can't keep doing what you were doing. You have to change, really. So it's a time of great change. But you've got to be totally aware in your business, outside your business. You've got to be aware of what's happening.
Okay, being aware inside, I think both MTFEM and Lakhi Singh, Property Fixer, both are using inside and outside and inside. Bit of a confusion there for me. Trying to work out what does that mean. Lakhi Singh, when you do SWOT analysis and you look at opportunities and you look at strengths and you look at weaknesses, how do you look at things externally and internally? If you look at things externally, you just don't know how long COVID is going to be around for, because it's an unknown entity. So start looking at things externally and looking at all the factors that stop business happening. I mean, everything now is in lockdown. It's tier 4, and you're using the word curfew. It's really drastic, but that's probably what it is. It's probably a soft, I could call it a soft curfew, something that's been done subtly under the radar. It's not involving the military or the police, but it is involving legislation that's giving authority to the enforcement officers to make sure that people adhere to those laws. So it is like a semi-curfew, you could call it that. So how do you look at things and put them in perspective and balance? Because you could quite easily do an external analysis and say, well, hang on, the market is totally dead at the moment, and it's going to stay this way for another 3 or 4 months. What can I do when the market is closed? Is it more to do with diversification? Is that the way to counter external forces, like Mary suggested? She does a bit of online trading. So do you start looking at things that would be regarded as diversifying your interests or your activities? How do you do that, Lakhi? What do you do? What's more important? Is it external or internal?
So I think what happens is with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, they each have their place. So if let's say you got 10 threats in the market, normally it's there's this acronym called PEST-WELC. So it's political, economic, sociological, technological, legal, climate, economy. So all these, I can't remember the acronym off the top of my head, but it's all those sort of things. So you've got to look at all of those and look at really what the Pestwelk, yeah. So political, economic, sociological, technological, legal, weather, economy. I can't remember the C at the end. So this is what we studied in marketing about 30 years ago. I did a diploma in marketing. So you got to look at the threats from those point of view, from opportunity and threat. So for every threat, there's probably the opposite of that as well. So if you've got a crash in the economy is a potential thing around the corner, then the opportunity is going to be a buying opportunity. Then you may have lack of buy-to-let funding because banks are being very slow in lending now. If you want to buy, it's taking 3 to 6 months, maybe even 7, 8 months to actually buy anything now, because by the time you've got your offer out, and if there's a small glitch in your sale, then your offer's actually gone out of the window. So you have to become quite cash rich to be able to close a lot of deals. So you've got lots of threats like that. Then the opposite side of it is the opportunity. So you need to actually look at the opposite situation from the threat and see really what the opportunities could be coming out of it. So technically, for example, Mary may think, okay, well, there's going to be a huge financial gap in the market. I'm going to work with 3 international banks now who've got, who are willing to lend out money. I could become a money lender, even a mortgage provider that does mortgages within 4 weeks. And I could do commercial lending, which is not highly regulated. So she could become a bridger, lend the money, and make very good money by just realizing how the market's going to change.
So MC Fem Bridger. That sounds a long title. Can you see yourself as a bridge? Can you see yourself doing that? Opening like your arms up for people to walk through and then closing your arm? Is that what we understand of being a bridger? Are you sort of pretending to be like a gatekeeper to money? Would you be standing around doing this and that all day, opening the gates up of your bridge? What do you think? Can you see yourself as a bridging lender then? MC?
No. Maybe in the future. Obviously, there is a lot of people bridging, private lending. It's massive, yeah, because of the length of time it's taking to get lending, and it's just destroying a lot of deals. So yeah, I can see why Lakhi is saying that. Absolutely, I think that will grow. That side will grow, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's a demand that there will become, or there is one, which is it's agreeable. So okay, Lakhi, tell us next point, the next tip for success in 21 for growing your property portfolio. What's the next thing?
Well, it goes back to the point I've just made, which is having access to finance. Having access to finance.
Yeah.
So having your finance structured in a way that allows you to raise funds easily. So the speed of finance, I would say, is really critical.
Speed of finance. Okay, that sounds fast. Yes. MC Fem, what do you say? What type of speedy finance are you going to be planning out for? So if you see a deal or you go to a project, because I know the nature of your work is more interior design and focused around branding. I think that's what we spoke about last time we came on. You've got a very unique idea of trying to transmit the brand icon across an asset, whether it's a HMO or it's a multi-let occupation or one of those flats, a block of flats. You look at creating an entity there that reflects the company. Can you see your requirement for these projects to be quick money, or the ability to have liquidity fast, or do you rely upon your cash reserves or the client paying their fees up front for the work you do? How do you work your model? Are you changing your model to adapt to age 21?
Well, yeah, obviously I'm still a property owner, still looking to find deals and buy property. It's going to come back to the foundation of relationships you've built, so that you can get access to more funds. But that has to come from obviously people trusting you. So I think people will, there will be private lending, but they obviously will be looking for, guarantees on that, personal guarantees, that type of thing. And again, it comes back to probably your track record. I've come through quite a lot of property crises, world crisis, the huge downturn 2008-9, still given investors returns, always. So, and how have you behaved this year in paying private investors? It comes down to your history, really. You've got to have a good history. Right now, I feel to, but then people are accessing their pensions, and people will still find money. There is a lot of money out there, a lot of investors out there. But again, I think it will come back to much more personal relationships, and track record will win out. And I think it's seen as a lot more high risk at the moment, lending. So yeah, especially because of end valuations and stuff like that in property. So yeah, we'll have to see. We're trying to see what the year ahead's going to forecast, but you have to make business, no matter what climate is, really.
What type of advice are you giving them for the way you're going to plan out 21? Are you going to break everything down in quarters or monthly or suck it and see formula? How's it going to work?
I always work to a 12-week plan.
A quarter, yeah?
I follow the 12-week plan, which makes you 4 times more productive, apparently. Yeah, I run my business to a 12-week plan. There's a book written about it. It's got a philosophy behind it. I find that, for me, the most effective.
Excellent. So you do it in pockets of 12 weeks, and that makes. And do you have a strategic position? Before you answer that question, a big shout out for Smith, got John Smith. We've got Mandy. We have Amar Ali and nobody else. Okay. Good morning to all of you. What about, say, we've crossed the 1,500 mark in terms of members, and obviously we've got a growing number of YouTube audience, people watching us on YouTube. So yeah, let's go across, before you answer that question, let's go across to Lakhi and ask him, how do you do your planning, sir? Do you do it in quarters now because of the risk, or do you do it in a strategic management of a goal? Do you attempt to get those critical points covered in those goals? How do you, and is what Mary is doing, is that the right way to do it?
Yeah, I think having a 12-week plan. Did you say 12 months or 12 weeks?
12 weeks, Lakhi. It's a quarter.
I think 12-week plan is good. I think probably to break. I mean, I typically have like a 2-year plan, and then be reviewing it every 12 weeks. So I think it does make sense. So I think you're going to probably, and then actually be doing things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, because certain things you can't be doing on a 12 weeks. You're going to be doing them daily to check certain funds or certain targets being hit. If they don't come in, then you've got to look at your contingencies. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying everything's got to be done with pit stops, but you do have to have contingencies. So what type of have you got next list, Lakhi Singh? What's the next tip for a successful 21 in property and the growth of property?
I think a critical one is a power team. So having, a panel of solicitors, architects, depending on your area, contractors, quantity surveyors, sourcing agent, a financial broker, a joint venture investor maybe, so having access to, if you're doing a lot of sourcing, working with solvency practitioners or receivers. So I think having a power team is critical, and I think having like a main contractor, somebody who can develop your properties for you, or even a small refurb team, all these things are actually critical to your success. And obviously, the stronger they are and the more experience you've had with them, more likely you're going to succeed.
Okay, good shout out from Linda Singh Johal this morning, giving a shout out to everyone, and Julie Ford as well, both of them giving a shout out, just joined us, watching us now. Okay, so Mary, what do you have to say to that? MC Fem, what do you say to that?
Well, currently, obviously, property is crazy at the moment. Getting hold of contractors, architects, I don't know, brokers, but it's just mad, really. So it's tough to as we know, property's busy anyway, but I find it extremely crazy at the minute, obviously, because we've had such a massive amount of sales happening and residential, and so the trades especially are very, very stretched at the moment. I did a project in Dublin, which finished in October, and part of the project we had to pay double the amount for trades, double the price to get them in. So I think it's challenging. I think the property market will continue to be very busy. I think, absolutely. You need your power team. It's just being able to hold on to them.
I think you're right, Mary. I think MC Fem's got a point there. It's all right saying a power team. It's all right being in the city, Lakhi, and having money to keep people on a retainer. But for small and medium-sized businesses, unless you don't have a continual supply of business, it's very difficult to have a power team, because none of these individuals, by the nature of the way they work, are really your team unless they don't have a reason to be engaged with you all the time. And I think it's very difficult to keep people from third-party services like a law firm, or like an estate agent, or a surveyor, or a builder, keeping them engaged and giving them a retainer is all well and good. If you can afford it, which is what Lakhi, I assume you are doing in your business model, but for the average person across the country, keeping these type of people engaged and keeping them in your sights, as it would be, waiting for the ideal project or the property or the deal to come along so that you can use that so-called power team, is a bit difficult. What do you have to say to that, Lakhi? How can someone who is a small-time trader or is a medium-sized business, how can they keep the power team focused to be the power team?
So the way to, it's not an easy thing. I think Mary MC Fem is right, because there's a bit of a moving feast. So, but the strategies around that are, we've got local groups now across the whole United Kingdom. So those groups are there to help you to grow your business. So we're happy to actually help you source people if you want. And I'm always happy to share my black books of contacts. And we know some of the best architects UK wide, and the best brokers, surveyors, solicitors, everybody really.
Excellent.
Two solutions in one there, please.
Behind the alternative business and property solutions community, Lakhi, is that really one of the objectives for you, setting up this selfless group so that people have the opportunity to take advantage of your many contacts.
That's right. I'm actually surprised how many people aren't coming to us with the amount of support we can give. I'm actually like always open to, if you ask me, say, can you give me the best broker to do this, or can you raise me finance for that? I'm a bit like Father Chrissmiss without the white beard. I think, although BJ sounds more like the Father Chrissmiss with the beard.
Right. Okay. So how many people have you had sitting on your lap last year?
I haven't had that experience. Just my own kids, and they were smaller.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Mary, MC, Fem, can you see yourself being a bit of a father, Mrs. Xmas, in terms of having people sit on your knee and you giving them advice and services?
You are very funny. No, people don't normally sit on my knee for me to give them advice, but yeah, like Lakhi, I've always got people wanting me to give them advice or help them out. Sometimes probably more on mindset or trying to see their way through a problem. I'm very good at solving other people's problems, and Lakhi's probably very similar. Also, I find when I solve other people's problems, it kind of takes myself away from my own problems. So yeah, I think also there's some great help online, and there's lots of groups, and you can post out and get people supporting you very quickly. It's a very supportive world now. I think it's nice.
Okay, so MC Fem says she doesn't have many people sitting on her knees, at least not usually, looking for advice. But she's are you open for someone to sit on your knee and ask you questions? Or would you rather have the laptop on your knee and they can ask you questions virtually?
Well, I'm probably a bit like you, VJ. I'm very much a face-to-face contact, tactile person. So, you know what, this situation doesn't really suit me. I prefer to be in front of people. But yeah, I try and keep things very professional, and I never let them sit on my knee.
You don't let anybody sit on your knee. Right, okay. Well, obviously, the kissy stick will come in hand because they could be standing 6 foot away from you with their kissy stick, and they could be asking you a question at the same time as giving you a kissy. But we've got Miss Howard coming out, giving a big shout out for you on YouTube. Obviously, she's happy that MC Fem is being interviewed today. One of your fans, I assume, MC, is that right?
Emma Howitt.
Oh, Emma
Howitt. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's giving a big shout out to you. So obviously she's listening to you intently, trying to pick away at your brain and get some ideas for her business next year. Right, okay, Lakhi Singh.
Emma. She's brilliant.
She's brilliant. Excelente. Part of the Femen team, I think.
Oh, yeah. So, she's total fem power.
Yeah, Femem power. Right, Lakhi Singh, do you have another tip for us? Now, what do you think is going to work as another tip?
Another one is, I think, another tip, which is, I think, MCM's favorite, is that having a personal brand and understanding how you're going to market yourself is very important. Because if you've got something a bit different about you, you've got maybe, like you got big ears or something, you can call yourself Big Ears Properties or something, and people will remember you. And I think, although I'm joking, these sort of things go a long way in terms of maybe people distinguishing you and realizing that you're something a bit different. So having a bit of a USP and a personal brand and your marketing strategy.
Okay, right, okay. So, right, okay, so what is unique about you, MC Fem? Apart from the fact we've got one listener, we won't give her name, but somebody said they would be quite happy to sit on your knee. Femem, MC, Femem. I'm gonna call it MC, Femem, MC, Fem. So we've got someone who's quite happy to sit on your knee, a listener who's listening intensely, quite happy. She would be quite happy to sit on your knee and take advice from you. So tell me, what is unique about you, and what have you got that's extra long or wide, or you know, something that's unique about you that you're going to use to market
You're
out?
making me laugh so much. What's unique about me? Okay.
What have you got that's extra long, like he says, or extra wide, or tall, or short, or fat, or small, or extra that you could use as your brand? Is there something?
Well, I got to talk about other people's brands though, because obviously it's about. Okay. It's easy for me because I suppose I'm quite an outgoing. I have an introvert side, but I'm quite extrovert. So
you have a what? You say you have an introvert what?
So we want to speak about people who find it difficult to brand themselves. Yeah. Now I think your brand should come from your values, and I think you need to translate them into your business, and then there's a synergy. There's no point in having a brand that doesn't really represent you. Yeah. So what is it in your business that you're really passionate about or you really believe in? It might be, I don't know, it might be something like providing good quality furniture for the rooms you provide. It might be state-of-the-art design. It might be you have a niche area and you really support local business. So that's kind of how you start building a brand. And once you start talking about what you're passionate about, you forget yourself. A lot of people find it hard to brand because they feel they need to be talking about themselves.
Okay, let's take the example of a big company then. Looking at that, you've got Coke. Let's suppose I find rotting people's teeth something that I enjoy doing. As Coke, am I going to tell people, drink my product so your teeth rot? Or am I going to make it look like the Coke bottle is the best thing you've got? It's going to be something that's going to bring up your energy level. It's going to make you feel better. What do you say to that, Lakhi Singh? Do I tell people I'm here to rot your teeth? Or do I make that brand look better? Do I look at brands from a personal value perspective, or is brand more about the demand in the market? Which way do you look at it? You're a corporate man. You're a man who looks at things very clinically. You don't see more to read.
That's quite
emotional man.
That's quite a tough question. Yes. How come I get the difficult ones and MC Fem doesn't have that question?
You're the mover and the shaker of the city. You're the man. You're the strategist. You're the shaker, the maker, the quaker, the raker, the taker, the staker.
Okay, it's quite simple. I think I agree with the point that MC Fem's making, which is that you really got to go with your values. But a lot of organizations out there, especially corporate ones, the big pharma companies, they will sell you anything. Doesn't really, I mean, for example, McDonald's, the food's not really good for you, but they're using things like whatever the tune is, like loving it. So, so they're using.
You.
Sorry?
Lucky. That's like saying there's no Father Christmas.
Okay, yeah, very funny. So basically, I think what you've got to do is you've got to be clear about what you're setting out to do. But most of what you're doing is about marketing. So if you can have it about your values and you've got a really good product, that's easy then. But if you've got things which are a little bit out there, then you've got to find a clever way of actually positioning yourself. So, for example,
I think MC Fem's got a good point. See, she's got a very good point. I think it's a point that goes a long way in keeping to the heart of your values and trying to remember who you are. I think she's right. When companies grow and organizations grow, they lose sense of their origin. But is that not the nature of the corporate world of commerce, Femem? MC Femem, is that not the nature of corporation and corporate world of commerce? It's all about the money. Can you really keep to some value without losing yourself when the numbers and the digits start racking up and you start finding those large sums hitting your account? Are you really going to be looking at your core values, or are you going to be looking at what people buy? Is it not all about what people want, or is it what you want to sell them? Which way around is it?
Well, we know because we look at the biggest companies in the world right now. Like, a lot of them are online companies, aren't they? Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple. They're all about people. So they have put that at the center of their businesses. They're the growing businesses. Look at the businesses that are growing right now. It's all about the individual. Fulfilling the individual need is absolutely paramount, and that's what's happening more so than ever.
Okay, so you give the example. So the example you're giving is Apple.
Yeah, energy companies. It's different.
Okay, the example you're giving is Apple, right? And you're saying Apple is about the individual. So are you saying Apple caters for the individual needs? Is that right?
Of course they do. Yeah.
Okay. And are you saying that is where the growth sector is, catering for individual needs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But to be able to deliver that on a large scale is obviously, yeah, I think more than ever, every business is more into the individual. Their customer. Yeah.
The customer. Right. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Let's take that from MC Femem. What do you say? Is it about the individual or is it about the mass? Because can corporates really drill down into individuals?
I think the more closely you can meet individual needs, which I think what MCM is saying, which is that the more likely is that you're going to be able to hit on the demand. So if everybody likes to drink a breakfast in the morning, but they want it, if you've got an understanding of what specifically they want, do they like cornflakes? Do they like Rice Krispies? Do they like porridge? If 90% of the people are having porridge, and you understand that, you can cater for their individual needs by creating a porridge that's actually more tailored to their needs because it's extra healthy, gluten-free, and it's you've got the ingredients already pre-packed by putting honey in it or something, what people normally have. So the more you can tailor things to individual needs, more likely is that you're going to be able to hit upon a sale. So the point almost sounds a bit counterintuitive, but that's actually what you want to achieve. You want to try and hit something that's a tailored need, but it hits the masses at the same time. So if 90% of the people were porridge eaters with honey in the porridge, and they needed a certain dose every morning, and you can actually pack it off the shelf, and it caters for the masses, and job well done.
Okay, that makes sense. There's some reasoning in that. Okay, MC Femem, give us your last tip because we're running at the last 2 minutes of the show. Give us your next important tip for 21. What else should people be looking out for to do to make their business successful?
Well, it's online, isn't it? You've got to have an online presence.
Online presence. Okay.
Yeah, across your business, really.
Okay. When you're saying online presence, are you excluding any business, or are you saying all businesses?
Well, all businesses. obviously everything's being run online right now. So yeah, obviously in your social media, be it an individual or a business, yeah, it's all got to hang together. You've got to have the front of you now. Your shop obviously is online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take that as a tip. So, Lakhi Singh, your last 30 seconds, please. Can you have everything hanging together?
Yeah, you can. You just need to make sure that everything is planned out properly and hangs well together. You're right.
Okay.
Okay, I've got one last tip, which is that networking is critical, but I love the one about online, actually. I think I missed that one. So that off my list. I actually didn't have that one. I think being online is a really good one. I think also being able to network. Obviously, it's very difficult to network if you're not online now, unless you've got a very big WhatsApp group and you're ringing people left, right, and center. So I think networking is also critical.
Networking and online. We have to cut off there, Lakhi Singh. Unfortunately, it's giving me water in my mouth. So we've got lots of things to talk about tomorrow. We will continue with this topic. MC Femim, I'm not sure. Are you going to be available for us tomorrow? Because this seems like an interesting debate in how to become successful. You've actually given Lakhi Singh the Fixer a point today. That's a bit of an achievement, I would say, giving such a successful person something to think about. So, not only about being online and hanging things together, the point is your presence and being importantly so, the MC Femem. Would you like to appear tomorrow with us? Because I'll make sure we continue this discussion tomorrow with you. Can you give us your last point for today?
Yeah, that's up to Lakhi. If he wants to be here tomorrow, I can be here.
We want you. The audience wants you. People want you. Here's a love heart from me to you for you to be on tomorrow. So we'll see everyone tomorrow. The Lakhi Singh drive time 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Please remember on Friday we're going to have a 1 minute silence for all those people that have passed away in 20 due to COVID and also naturally as well. Just to remember those people who are no longer with us. I think everybody around them is getting a feeling or touching illness or bad health or you know the heartache of losing someone this year. And like MC Ferem just said, he's been away from dad on this Christmas. Probably a sad time, probably difficult. But she's a strong young lady. Got her head up and smiling and laughing, making us laugh as well. So hopefully we should see both of you tomorrow. Drive time 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Lakhi Singh, the property fixer and the alternative business and properties community solution.
I think we're still live.
I know, I can't turn myself off. It's
okay, don't worry. So bye viewers, thank you for watching. MC, do you want to do a quick wrap for us? Because we're still live somehow.
Rap? Oh my God, no. We need music or something. We'll get some music on here.
Shall I do some human beatbox?
Can you sing? Rap. I'm going to get a rap ready, okay? MC
okay, well, I think I have to end the show.
Actually, going out to all the fans out there. Yeah.
Take care, guys. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.